Regarding TU law lecturer Ruth Cannon and Free Legal Aid Eva Lalor or Eva Lalor solicitor and the other solicitors in the Free Legal Aid. When Ruth had forced her way into my life abusively and was operating a coercive control, obstruction abuse for reasons I have yet to be revealed to me, but something to do with John Ryan and his weird obsessive things regarding child abuse and paedophilia and such, where John Ryan is obsessed with secret paedophile death cults in Irish society run by the Irish elite, which really is an excuse, it would seem, for John Ryan to target vulnerable people, vulnerable journalists, people he views with avarice who can write better than him. And Ruth seems to do this as well. Maybe they do it as a couple, or maybe Ruth does it first and John Ryan gets dragged along. It's hard to decide what the element of the weirdly toxic, abusive, codependent relationship that John Ryan and Ruth Cannon have. But there it is. So when Ruth was moving abusively through my life, she did her very best to talk me out of and obstruct access to legal aid solicitors. And this was supposedly a law lecturer and professional barrister who told me that Eva Lalor was an idiot, an incompetent, and that Eva Lalor didn't bother to practice her cases with any due diligence, and that Eva Lalor, this is all from Ruth Cannon, that Eva Lalor, had such neglect to her cases that, she was actively harming people. And then Ruth Cannon extended that to talk about all the Irish and Dublin Free Legal Aid solicitors. I think I had there was another two I had names for that I supplied Ruth, that I'll have to dig up for a follow-up of this. But Ruth Cannon's opinion was the legal aid solicitors were poorly trained, incompetent, stupid, malevolent, and that they actively, in their negligence, they actively set out to harm people, and that they didn't care whether they harmed people. And that was Ruth Cannon opinion of the free legal aid solicitors, the legal aid solicitors, and anyone practicing there. She was very specific to lambast Eva Lalor and her colleagues. So, it's worth knowing that, there's this current of obstruction and professional slander and defamation going on with people like Ruth Cannon, who are, actively targeting vulnerable people like myself and trying to obstruct their access to the law. And then, as competent Donald Quigley pointed out, then Ruth Cannon will channel those people to people like David Langwellner, who is equally, seemingly, he is the description of the incompetence that Ruth Cannon applied to Eva Lalor and her colleagues at the Legal Aid Board. And whereas I didn't see that level of incompetence from Eva Lalor, I did see it from David Langwellner. However, I am assuming that because Ruth Cannon couldn't profit there, it wouldn't be till later that David Langwellner, in Ruth Cannon's opinion, was an incompetent and I quote, bloody useless, infantilized by his lawyer partner and all the other scathing horror that Ruth Cannon heaped on David Langwellner, who she intermittently referenced as a fraud and all this. So, that's another facet of what was happening to me. I had this law lecturer from TU Dublin and supposedly a talented barrister who had apparently written books that now people tell me Neil Nelligan wrote all of, obstructing and trying to pervert and twist and block my access to legal aid by defaming them and slandering them and dragging their name through the dirt. And when you're vulnerable, you don't really know what to do. It's to my deep regret that Ruth Cannon of TU Dublin Law Faculty managed to force her way into my life. And this is another episode of detailing Ruth Cannon's abuse, and any stupid buffoon that falls for Ruth Cannon's lies in the face of evidence, regardless of what country they're in, has made a terrible mistake that's probably going to impinge the rest of their career and whatever years they have left.